3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. Ignacy and Stephen, Portal Games.
And this is Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather of Gaming. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 170, and we're recording this on November 4th, 2020. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. And Ignacy, now that the U.S. presidential election is officially over, even though we don't know who won yet, I am going to publicly state who I voted for. And I cast my vote for Tom Vassell.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Yeah, maybe that was a surprise. And maybe that's not true, but hey.
Well,
Anyway.
I see an even bigger surprise here in this show. We just started and I see a huge surprise. Who took your Kallax? Where is it? Where are your games? What happened?
That's right. So you got to go over to the YouTube version of this and actually see us and see the different things that happen. So I am in an undisclosed location. No, I'm actually, this is my office. And when I usually...
Oh, you're back in the business. So this is announced. Stephen has an office. I love it.
No, I have not unretired. So this is my office when I, was working. I'd always be here. The computer's here, whatever I'm doing. And my office is like a wreck. I mean, I really don't keep it neat. And I've got to go through it.
You missed the place. You had to come back because you missed the place. You missed the office. We hear you.
No, what happens is, well, first of all, we had some people over the weekend for like a long weekend. We'll talk about that later. But Paula, my girlfriend, does not really want me in the game room, which is where you always see me, right? With all the beautiful games behind me. She doesn't want me there in the game room on the game table where we want to play Gloomhaven all the time. She wants me here. I don't think it's as pretty here. So I'll probably be back there at some point soon. But for now, I'm here and I'm going to clean this office up and I'm going to put some cool stuff back there on my bookcase, my actual bookcase that I have in here. It'll look like a better office at some point. For now, we're here. So we'll make the best of it. Tell us, Ignacy.
I'm not the best in English, but as I understand, on retirement, you are going to renovate your office. This is very strange.
There's a big push to like doing things in the house these days, especially since we spend 100% of our time here. So yes, I'm going to be renovating my office or it's my third bedroom of the house kind of thing, whatever, fourth bedroom. And we're going to do some work downstairs too. So yeah, there's a lot of work, but not business to do. This is my business. Okay. I'm a man of the people, Ignacy. You and me here giving back. This is my business now in retirement. Please.
You're a man kicked from the game room. Yes, we hear you.
I'm a man kicked from the game room. All right. Tell us what's happening over at Portal Games.
I am in a great mood. This week we announced the Game of the Year edition for Detective. It was already released in France and it was already released in Germany, and now we are bringing this edition to America. And what is this? The game with the new cover that lists all these amazing awards the game won or was nominated for, and it has additional component photos of all the suspects for players to build amazing mind maps and be immersed in the story. Of course, we have official press release on our website. Of course, it was sent to all the media, but if we are talking here with our fans and listeners, I want to say very honestly thank you to everybody who was supporting the game over these 2 years, because once again, this is a clear and perfect example. If the game has a great support, if the game has a great feedback, if people are talking about the game, recommending the game, they liking the game, the publisher can develop the line, can bring new content or bring something like that, Game of the Year edition. I tell you, this is a great honor and great pride to have a chance to release your game as a Game of the Year edition with all these awards and the additional components. So every publisher dreams to have such special edition. So I thank everybody who played Detective and was vocal about that, because this was what's happening. When you play the game and you love it enough to say about it, tell about it to your friends, people on Facebook, social media. So you guys made it. So I am very, very proud. This is our press release of this year, of this month, of this week. Game of the Year edition, a Detective in stores worldwide in English.
That is wonderful, wonderful news. And I'm going to have some detective news coming up in my segment. So you keep going.
Gamma investigation. And
No,
our
I investigated. No, keep going.
Brag of the week. We celebrated 2 weeks ago, but I was not able to talk it last week. Our Twitch channel that we started in summer, as our listeners remember, twitch.tv/portalgamesUS, and we hit 500 subscribers. So nice milestone. I'm very proud. A ton of streams we were making. Summary of this channel, more than 50 streams with gameplays for our games, plus additionally, of course, the whole stream for SM Digital, for UK Game Expo, for Gen Con, for PortalCon, all these virtual conventions done on Twitch by my team, amazing people, Captain Ling and Paul Marchbank doing the most of the stream. So if you are interested in watching gameplays, if you're interested in watching people playing Portal Games games, go to twitch.tv/portalgamesUS. We're just celebrating 500 subscribers, and this is amazing. As for pre-orders, yes. As for pre-orders, last chance to pre-order Narushima Hex Year of the Moloch edition. Amazing production value, huge box, additional components. You definitely need to check it out. This is a limited print run, only 2,000 copies to celebrate the attack of the Moloch. In the lore of the game, don't worry, it is not attacking really, but in the lore of the game, Moloch attacks, and we make this a special limited edition of the game. And also last moment to pre-order Robinson Crusoe Treasure Chest expansion. The expansion is already released in Europe. It is already released in Poland, but since the shipment to America took a little bit longer, we have this 1 or 2 weeks window more longer to have this pre-order. So last moment Robinson Crusoe Treasure Chest, amazing expansion to my game. Strongly recommend that. And upcoming street dates, the closest street date is Robinson Crusoe. As fast as it reaches our warehouse, it will be sent to distribution, and it will be our last release this year. So it's coming. As for the gossips and rumors, what's happening at our offices, Polish edition of Vienna Connection is ready. I have last proofs of the rule book and all that jazz, but basically it's ready. And exactly today, as we are recording, our DTP team started preparing files in English. So Polish is done, closed, fixed, and now we are doing English files. Ton of work to do, of course, to prepare all the cards, all the handouts, everything. This is our early release for the next year. So Vienna Connection, Polish one, locked down. Now English one, and then German, and then French, and then Spanish, and work continues. This is what's happening here. How's your life in your new office?
It's life in Florida is amazing, absolutely amazing. The temperatures here.
No, we don't need weather update. Like, just move on to the next thing.
10 degrees cooler than last week. It's awesome here. 75 degrees. I can't figure that one out in Celsius. It's gorgeous here right now. Unbelievable. Anyway, so I'm gonna go right to my invite of the week for my escape room. And I haven't talked about that for a little bit, but remember, everybody out there, Thanksgiving in the USA is coming up very soon. You want things to do with your family. Very often you're going to be doing things remotely. You're not even going to see them on Thanksgiving, which is so sad. Big family time, of course, in the United States and in Canada, various places that harvest time of the year and people get together a lot. Can't see them. EscapeRoomAdventures.com. You can play in my escape room. I'm wearing my Escape Room Adventures t-shirt here, Ignacy. You see that's a great logo on there.
Yes, Escape
see
Room,
that?
Yep.
4 different rooms we've implemented there. Pirate room, 80s theme room, magician's room, an alien room. I highly recommend checking it out. Everybody who has played it, who has heard this and then posted saying, wow, that was one of the best escape rooms or the best escape room we ever did. We actually had somebody recently come do it online, and they are somebody who's done 300 different escape rooms from all over the world. They literally travel to do them. And they said, this is in the top pantheon of escape rooms they ever did. I forgot which one they had done at the time, but they absolutely loved it. So escaperoomadventures.com for around $20 a person. You can play with your entire family over Zoom. You will have a good time. And then when you do, let your friends know about it, because it's a great way of staying together during these, COVID times. escaperoomadventures.com. Book a room with us. Of course, we're still doing the happy hour with the Podfather, still going strong every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern time and Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We keep having some BGI people showing up for a one-off or they come for several. So it's kind of nice. So please check us out. You can find out on facebook.com/Podfather Gaming. You can see the event and the link is there to join us at either one of those times. This week, I'm going to both be doing Board Game Breakfast with Tom and Z at the usual Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm also going to be doing a top 10 with them. Now, I never, I don't like to talk about too much about and I never talk negatively about anything about games. I mean, just never. It's to me, games are all good on some level. You prefer the ones more than others. So I never do any negative things at all. So Tom invited me to do top 10 qualities in a gaming partner that you'd like to have. The top 10 qualities in a gaming, in a good game partner. So I was happy to do that one. And that's, it'll be, you won't hear it by then, but you can go onto the Dice Tower YouTube channel and I'll link it onto the Podfather YouTube channel to hear what my top 10 good characteristics in a gaming partner are. I'm doing that Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That would be tomorrow. So the 5th. What else do I have here? As I mentioned a little bit at the top of the show, my news of the week is that I've this week had a few people over for a long weekend, and I did more gaming of different types than I had in, I would have to say 4 years at least, where I played so many different games. Normally it's always you get together, you play a game, or I'm playing kind of a lot of the same stuff with Paul, and we don't play every day or anything like that. And when I was at conventions, I'm always here's this stronghold game and this stronghold game I'm trying to do. But this was all kinds of stuff, old school, new school. The old school stuff, we did Vegas Showdown, Amun-Re. That's my favorite Knizia game, Amun-Re. And we did a little bit of poker. Somebody wanted to kind of learn and get a feel for betting and poker. So a little bit just to do it. And then new games, Detective Season 1, Ignacy. I posted it into your Twitter feed. A, great. B, I sucked. So this is not, so if anybody thinks it's an easy game, it's gonna be a hate cakewalk, it's for families. It just makes it a bit easier, but still, we got 11 out of 18 as our score. So we did not do all that well. So, Ignacy, you would say that's pretty bad, right?
You knew what was going, but you missed some details. So that's.
We didn't get the guy or woman, who knows? We didn't get the person who did it. We got all of the motive, they got everything else, but we didn't actually pick the right. We were close. If we would have had more time, and the thing was time, if we would have just had another, one more, what's it called? Clue, one more investigation. If we would have been able to do one more investigation, I think we would have been, there it is. There's the sequence that we were missing. So it was a matter of doing it in the right amount of time.
Did you manage to get to the video footage from the cameras or no?
Yes, absolutely. We did. We saw.
There is Mary. Did you recognize her?
I did recognize Mary. I said, both Paula and I that's Mary. That's Mary. You weren't in it. Were you in it? Because you was a guy that looked like you.
No, I wasn't that. No.
Okay.
Mary was our star.
There's a tall, thin guy that kind of looked like you, but
friend of mine.
Yeah, I don't think that's Ignacy. So anyway, it was great. So thank you for that experience. I recommend everybody Detective Season 1. It's a great introduction into the way it works. We did Scooby-Doo Betrayal. Oh my gosh. Oh. So I love Betrayal at House on the Hill. So we cracked out the Scooby-Doo version. It's so cute. It is a little easier than the regular Betrayals. But the bad guy still won. The person who became the bad guy won. But they streamline a couple of things. It's good. It's a good, another game in the whole Betrayal at House on the Hill series. We played Half Truth, which is a party game. Richard Garfield and Jennings and Jennings, the guy who won on Jeopardy. For whatever reason, they got together.
It was on Kickstarter, right?
Yes,
it was. A Kickstarter game.
Yep. A friend of mine brought that over. We played that. We played Ignacy, Shifting Sands. That's a stronghold game. Yep. Diamonds, Second Chance, Ripple Rush, bunch of quick games like that. Quacks of Quellenberg. I finally got a chance to play it. I had never played it before. Really,
game. Yep.
really great bag building game, little push your luck going on and stuff. Yep. So it was a great, diverse weekend of gaming, lots of different stuff, and with good friends. So I had a great time with them. I miss people, so it was really great to see that. And that's it. That's about what we did. So I think we should go on to the event deck. What do you think?
Absolutely.
All right, let's make it happen. All right, the first and really interesting thing in the news is that there's a new crowdfunding site that's specifically for board games. How about that one? So that's something different. And the details are, it's called Game Found, and it's a very ambitious project from the start, development for 4 years, and they're just going to be doing board game Kickstarters, crowdfunding projects. I am very skeptical that they can possibly, have any impact on Kickstarter or really bring enough of the project creators onto this platform, because all the eyes are on Kickstarter. It's like Kickstarter, right, all the gamers. But my shout out to these guys, or my advice to these guys, is get a couple of high profile Kickstarters on there. Basically do them for free, right? So don't get your take on those. And then maybe you'll get some groundswell. I mean, if you got a Simon on there, people will start looking at it. If you did get a Stronghold or a Portal, people might start looking at this thing. So that's my advice. I don't think it's going to succeed in a big way, but competition is always a good thing.
I have a little bit of inside information. So
you do?
Yes, I do. Game Found is a website. It was a Pledge Manager website before. It was Pledge Manager website that ran many Kickstarters. It's one of the top 3 most popular Pledge Manager features on the Kickstarter. It is owned by the people who run Awaken Realms, so one of these biggest Kickstarters in the history, in the top 10.
Sure.
All these Nemesis things and all these Tainted Grails, etc. So they know the Kickstarter environment very well. I absolutely agree with you that it is one thing to have customers. It is one thing to have some experience in a Kickstarter, but the other thing is to compete against the Kickstarter. Like, this is very, very difficult.
Absolutely.
But I was as skeptical as you 3 years ago when a thing like that happened in Poland. So we had our Polish website that was a crowdfunding website like a Kickstarter. It was very popular. People were doing board games there. And then one person said that he is going to do a new website that is crowdfunding website only for board games. And I said publicly in Poland that this is a stupid idea. Why he's doing that? It makes no sense. Nobody will do it, and work with him. And of course, 3 years later, I'm wrong. He created extremely well created a website with a lot of additional features for the creators. He cared for these creators. He, of course, as you said, he fight to bring the very famous creators in Poland to his platform, and he built it up. And 3 years later, he's bigger than this previous one crowdfunding campaign. So of course, I believe in one thing in business: competition is good. So whatever will happen, maybe at least it will help us with the Kickstarter being a better platform, fighting for the creators. So I'm also skeptical, but I'm giving them that they have some experience.
Yep.
They were before Pledge Manager for a long time. We will see what will happen.
So has Awaken Realms put a project up there yet? Because obviously that would be a big thing.
Not yet, but I guess it will happen.
Yeah, I saw about 12 live projects now, so that's something. Yep. So let's see how it's going to do. And it's called Game Found. Let's see how it does over time. So not in the realm of board games, but in the realm of important geekdom news, WotC is getting sued by famed artists Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, huge artists in fantasy, Dragonlance. So legendary fantasy authors Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman have filed suit against Wizards of the Coast over the cancellation of Dragonlance books. The complaint was filed in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington on October 16th, and it alleged that WotC had arbitrarily terminated the production of the books in a teleconference on August 13th, thereby canceling the licensing agreement with Weiss and Hickman for new Dragonlance books. No reason was provided for the termination, and Weiss and Hickman allege it was done in bad faith. As with some publishing contracts for legacy IPs, there was a pin action effect further down the chain when the contract got canceled. When WotC randomly killed the agreement with Weiss and Hickman, it subsequently negatively affected a publishing contract Weiss and Hickman had with Penguin Random House because it devalued the author's IP. Weiss and Hickman claimed that WotC knew that if they canceled the licensing agreement, it would cost the authors millions of dollars from the loss of Penguin Random House publishing contract. So, and there's multiple lawsuits, and there's damages in excess of $10 million. So, I mean, when I see these things, it's usually fairly, in my mind at least, without having seen contracts, it's fairly easy. I mean, what's the out in the contract? If the contract says that they can cancel, sorry, I mean, they can do it. If it says, well, you can't do it unless it's this, 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 and this, well, then they got a good leg to lean on, and they might win.
I did some investigation.
Oh, come on. You're trying to compete with the Podfather on investigative reporting.
So
I can see it now.
We are working in the board game industry, but as all our listeners know, a role-playing game is my thing. I love role-playing games. So when I saw the news about Dragonlance and Dungeons and Dragons and WotC, of course, I did some research. So, of course, at this very moment, what we all know is the document that started everything. So what writers are saying, their point of view. WotC haven't responded yet, but what they are saying in this document is that WotC was giving some changes to the book that they are writing. They were modifying the book as WotC asked for modification, and WotC agreed and accepted the book that was written. And they were already preparing to write book number 2 because, of course, it was serious because Fantasia, obviously.
Right.
But the book number 1 was accepted by WotC. And then what we remember what happened in spring this year, and all the Black Lives Matter thing that happened, and how WotC was sending press releases about changing in the supplements. They are going to reprint some supplements, you remember, because we were covering this news as well.
Sure.
And suddenly something happened in WotC, and WotC in this famous these days phone call, they just said, no, we are canceling the book. And so now the question is, if they first accepted the book, why they are canceling? And of course, the people who comment on this case say that there was a huge panic at WotC back then when they were just sending these press releases about the changes that will modify the book, that it will treat all the races nicely without racism, etc., etc. And then at some point somebody said, we cancel this book. And of course, the writers are not happy because the book was accepted, basically.
Right. And verbal agreements are binding. So if they said, sure, we take it and then cancel it, well, then sounds like they have a grounds for the lawsuit. So should be interesting. Again, not part of the board gaming industry, but these are cult figures in geekdom and in fantasy writing, and connected to role-playing games in such an integral way that it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. So look forward to that. So this is the best news here that I have seen for the future of the industry in a long time. And let me see if people understand why this is so huge. So it's a company called Geek Retreat in the UK, and they have 15 retail stores. Geek Retreat plans now to open 100 new stores in the next 2 years. So they're going to put up 7 times the current number of stores in the next 2 years during a global pandemic when there are lockdowns going on. So let me read this and we'll talk some more. A fast-growing UK chain of comic and game stores plans rapid expansion, opening 100 new stores over the next 2 years, according to Toy News. Geek Retreat opened its first stores in Glasgow, Scotland in 2013 and currently operates 14 stores. The stores sell tabletop games, comics, graphic novels, merch, and other gaming cafe and event hubs. Sounds very familiar to people who go down to these stores. Very similar model, right? Also with a gaming cafe in there too. Kind of cool. Geek Retreat is a franchise operation, meaning that local store owners license the brand, the systems, the business model from the franchisor. Okay. The largest comic chains in the UK have been the two unrelated Forbidden Planet chains. Forbidden Planet operates 9 stores, and Forbidden Planet International operates 15. Interesting. There's 2 names of Forbidden Planet there, and they're different. Anyway, when I saw this, I was like, well, it's not the United States, but I mean, obviously, this chain, small, 15 stores, not small, but not, it's not Barnes and Noble. It's not, some, big global chain of stores. They're saying that they believe they can get 100 new stores open and operating in the next 2 years. I find that to be an awesome thing. They're basically making a bet that they can do this and that the industry is going to be healthy over the next 2 years. And then, of course, you do that over many, many years after that. Very happy when I saw this news.
Ignacy must be Slavic here. Like I can't see it happening. So of course, I absolutely agree with Stephen. If it happens, if we have 100 new stores, I'll be so happy, and we'll have so bigger distribution and channels to find new gamers. It's gonna be amazing. I would be skeptical even in the world without COVID. In the world with COVID, when still all the European countries have lockdowns or partial lockdowns, it's very, very hard to grow the physical stores chain. So absolutely great news. If it happens even partially, it's good. Every single open game store is a good news for us. But if you are going to do these predictions episode in January, I will predict it will not happen. Like, it's really very hard.
That would have to be a 2-year prediction. You're not allowed to make 2-year predictions.
Double points for me.
Double.
Right.
If they do it in 1 year, you get triple points. I don't know. Yeah. Really good. All right. So Ignacy's telling me we got to move on since we're going long. Let's go over to strategy and tactics. All right. Here, when we answer your questions from our guild on Board Game Geek, we have Oliver Koenig, who's at Mechaniac on Board Game Geek. And he says, hi, everybody. I think I have joined about episode 30, if I currently remember correctly. Went backwards and then kept listening religiously ever since. Thank you very much, Oliver. My only question, I suppose, will there be 100 episodes? Oh, come on. I didn't look at that one in advance. Oliver, we killed it. Will there be 200? Will there be 500? When will Bonacore stop and really retire?
Yeah, this is the question. When we stop. But as for now, we are still enjoying that. So
I want to let you and I make a prediction right now. Will you and I be here 400 at episode 400? What do you think?
400? How many weeks, months, years?
It doesn't matter how long it takes. Will we do episode number 400 in the future? This is just a little gentleman's bet.
And so this is twice as much as we. I believe it is possible. Maybe we'll be very tired of ourselves, but hopefully not. I think this is less. If we can pull it off 500 and say goodbye, everybody, that would be amazing episode. 400 is realistic for me. Here, I'm not pessimistic.
I think we'll do it. Let's see what happens. Ulf Pearson, who's at Soulbender, as a returning Spiel visitor, I've seen both of your booths grow over the years. What would be the next level? If there are no limits regarding space, cost, technology, or regulations, what would your booths at Spiel look like in a couple of years? Well, this is basically for you, and I'll just do some predictions. So what do you think? I mean, do you think, say cost was no object? It's just kind of an odd thing to say because cost is definitely an object when it comes to Spiel. It gets expensive after a while. What would you like to see?
I saw a huge change 2 years ago in Essen. I believe you remember that, when Asmodee took control over almost the whole hall.
Yep.
With this huge display when they do the Twitch streams, and there's like something hanging from the roof. I don't know the English name, but it was like a visual banner with some computer animations. Like it to look like you stepping in this hall, you felt like you are in the video game industry shows, like this bigger budget, this bigger business, completely different presentation of the product, the DJ, music, like very strange thing. So I guess when there is more money and when we try to catch up with these big industries like movie industry, like video game industry, we will try to get these ideas from this industry. So I accept I expect more of our shows, our booths being more dedicated to electronic devices, some like visual banners, some like tables that you can see things moving and play games, Tabletopia on the booth, so you can play all these gadgets. I think they will come up, especially from Asmodee, the big one.
I think exactly what you're saying. I think that Asmodee will continue to dominate the space in their brands. I just I think that some companies will stay with sizes that they currently have. I know that Indie Game Studios is not planning on growing. In fact, they're going to actually bring in like other publishers to kind of group together in the same size. Like obviously Fricks Games makes them a lot. Hey, we just had a visit from Mary in the background. So you can now, if you go over to the YouTube channel, you can see Mary join us for a second. And later we're going to have your cat join us too, I hope, because I know this cat is in the room. It's in the room. Anyway, I think there's just limitations that people want to do with with sizes, and it just gets crazy after a certain section. You're going to do something based on the size of the companies. If your company grows, maybe you get a little bit bigger. If your company shrinks, you get a little smaller. So I don't think we're going to see too much changes in that regard.
Yeah, in terms of the size, like I'm the same. Like I don't plan to have a bigger booth. Like my booth is big enough for me. I have these 20 tables. I don't need anything more. The question is how I am able to attract more customers, more traffic, how I can bring these people to come to my booth. So that's why I was thinking about some technology like gadgets to attract customers.
Yeah,
but size, the same.
Cool things to do to bring people in. Bryce Kittle, who's at BryceMan22, he says, what do you think of the entitlement syndrome that seems to have become a culture among Kickstarter backers? Oh, yeah, Bryce. I backed a game, Terror Below from Renegade Game Studios. The game fully funded and completed all stretch goals with more than 48 hours remaining. Okay, so it went for whatever number, almost a month or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and it had completed everything within 48 hours of the end. However, the comment section is filled with people complaining that there are no more stretch goals being announced. I believe that Kickstarter was started to help fund projects. I think the entitlement that backers seem to think they deserve is hurting the idea of what Kickstarter represented from the beginning. So we've talked a lot about what Kickstarter was and what Kickstarter is. And then briefly, I'm of the strongest opinion that Kickstarter is a marketing event. Full stop. Most publishers who use it don't need the money to do it, but they put stuff there because this is where the eyeballs of the industry are. So people are looking there, and therefore they go there, and therefore they back things. Backers need to calm down with the entitlement of what they think that they should be getting. If a publisher adds another token into the game, just creates another thing in the game, they then have to give it to the 5,000 people that backed it, with no extra revenue on their side. There has to be a limit to what you put in there. And in fact, some of these very successful early Kickstarters, was the one by the Steve Jackson one that I have on my shelf here. What's it called? Ogre, $1 million Kickstarter early in the Kickstarter years. Other ones by Valley Games. These things lost money. They went to $1 million. Or one of them was 700,000, and they lost money because they managed what they were giving to people so poorly. A company has to plan the entire Kickstarter, all the stretch goals, basically everything, and then say, okay, we can put this in and still make enough money. It makes sense. And we can't do much more than that because economically it makes no sense. So backers need to just understand the business of what's going on. Ignacy?
Ignacy is still in a business, so he has to be very careful what he says. Stephen can be much more vocal. But in my opinion, of course, from my opinion as a publisher, if you're backing the game, I guess you want to have this game.
Yes.
So if the game was funded, you should be like, hey, I have my game. That's what I wanted.
That's right.
And of course, these stretch goals became some sort of addiction, like drug, that you want to have more stretch goals, and if there's no stretch goals, you are disappointed and you are forgetting. Then in the first place, you have the game that you wanted,
Right.
and you are not thinking reasonably. So of course, I'm very, very angry when I see such a comment, people complaining that, oh my God, only 15 stretch goals. I'm so disappointed. And of course, it drives me crazy. So yes, I'm absolutely against complaints on a Kickstarter. When the Kickstarter is funded, you should be happy that the game will be released, that you wanted that, and hopefully you will get some stretch goals, because every campaign has some stretch goals. But complaining that it is not enough stretch goals, I don't get it.
Yeah. It's an entitlement that just doesn't make sense. You should check yourself on it. Peter Rabinowitz, he asks a question that we have taken before in various ways. What are your thoughts on unofficial implementations of your games on sites such as Brettspielwelt and Tabletop Simulator? And in general, Peter, the answer is, during COVID right now, I think we need people doing this. We need more of this. In the end, at some point, these things are going to have to be reined in on some level. There's got to be some licensing going on, even if it's just a contract saying, you realize we still own the IP, but you can do what you're doing. Because if you do not enforce your trademarks, even your use trademark, that means you're using something, but you have not officially gotten it from the U.S. Trademark and Patent Office. If you do not enforce your trademarks, you lose your trademarks. So you have to do something, whether it's just a simple contract or it's a licensing agreement where there's certain payments that occur. Something's going to have to happen at some point. Ignacy?
Yeah, the same statement as we had this couple of months ago. So in the COVID era, as Stephen said, we can close our eyes. We are all living in a very, very dark times these days. Play games, have fun, and we don't care. But on a business level, if you look at this in a long run, in a general picture, you have to understand that there are basically two competing sites at these days, this moment, Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator. The business difference between these two companies operating is that Tabletopia is buying rights from the publishers and is paying publisher. If the game is used, played, the publisher gets some royalty. So this is a legit business. And Tabletop Simulator is selling the app Tabletop Simulator, so he's getting revenue, and he's not sharing profits with the publishers. So this is like you can take your conclusions by yourself.
Right. Jordan Hopper asks, when working, do you listen to music and podcasts, or do you need complete silence? I guess he's asking both of us. Any music that you use when you celebrate a release of a new game, or when you close a deal to publish a game? So obviously he's into music and sounds. So for me, by the way, I need silence kind of person to work and be serious. I don't listen to anything. I want silence. If I hear stuff going on behind me, I can't do it. Same with celebrating. I don't put music on. I drink. I open up some champagne or a really good bottle of wine on closing a good deal. Ignacy, what do you do? Do you do anything with music while you're working?
So as for the podcast, I do love to listen to them. I sometimes try, like I have this, I will start doing podcasts during the work, but listening to English podcasts is not my native language. I have to be more focused than regularly, and therefore it is harder for me to focus then on inbox or anything else. So after a half an hour, I stop this podcast and I say, okay, I will finish in the car. So podcasts, no, because the language barrier, it is too difficult for me to listen. As for the music, yes, I do have a music, but it's interesting what you said, that it is distracting you, because for me, I have a special playlist. So I have like a focus mode, and it's very calm music. I have some energetic music when I have to do something very, very quickly. So I have my work playlists on my Spotify, and depending on the task, depending on the time of the day, I have different music. So I'm prepared here well with that. And the last question was, there was a podcast, there was a music, and celebration. For celebration, I'm a terrible person, and Stephen probably can confirm this very, very honestly.
I confirm that he's a terrible person. Go ahead.
Me celebrating things is a disaster. At this point, it is ongoing joke in the company. Portal Games win Speed des Jahres, Ignacy is sad because, oh my God, we need to do reprints. It will be so much mess. Like we never in the history of the company had a proper party when I, just have a champagne, have a smile on me, say to my team, everybody, we have something amazing. It is always Ignacy complaining, I'm terrible boss in this regard.
Why don't you have do you have a Christmas party?
I don't know. Something is no. I'm not in celebrating. I'm terrible. I'm aware of that. My employees make fun of me. This is problem with Portal Games. We cannot celebrate. I bring this Slavic mood to the work, and I'm.
So listen. So why don't you fly me over when we're allowed to do that, and I will set up parties for your employees. All right. I will be in charge. I will be your COP, your CPO, Chief Partying Officer. That's it. Okay.
We definitely have a need here for such an employee. Definitely, we need to improve. I'm terrible with that, and I do remember myself when we have this information about the nomination for Spiel des Jahres for Detective, and there was no party. It was just, oh my God, so much work now, and that's bad approach. I am aware of that.
That's funny. All right, we got to move on. So let's go to our playtesting segment where we question you. All right, so this is another one of those. It's kind of a prediction one again, Ignacy. So we're gonna question each other on this, and then we'll question the fans. So my question to you this week is, what do you believe will be the first major board game convention or event that will be held during these COVID times?
That's a great question.
And I'm gonna kind of focus it into what does major really mean, right? So because people might say, well, my local convention has got 500 people. So I'm gonna go with the big ones mostly. So here are the major ones for this thing. You can mention your own if you want something else, but the major ones in chronological order in 2021, so that we have the definitions right. Gamma Trade Show, that's in March. Geekway to the West, that's in May. BGG Con Spring is also in May. Origins in June. Dice Tower Con in July. Gen Con in August. Essen Spiel in October. BGG Con Fall in November. PAX Unplugged in December. Those are probably the biggest in the world that have are basically board game centric. What do you think? First one.
Essen.
So you think that the first major convention, you said that like that, boom.
Yeah,
boom.
Essen and then BGG-Con in America. So for America, I say BGG-Con in the fall season, and in Europe, Essen in fall season. I'm very skeptical about seeing what's happening, and the numbers go up and up, and it's difficult.
Yeah. So I have been throughout this whole thing very optimistic about things. Yep. That's sort of my nature. I try to stay optimistic. I try to stay positive, and I've been wrong every time. But hey, we all have things we aspire to, right? So I'm aspiring to get back and see people, out there. So I'm going to be optimistic again. And I know that I can be very wrong. And by the way, I think that it's going to be really weird. Like someone will run, but somebody won't run, that means like, even though it's chronological. So I think maybe the first one that runs, because it's not so big, will be Dice Tower Con. Oh, by the way, I forgot Dice Tower Con West even. So obviously that would have been the first one here in February. So that one's, you can put that on too. Dice Tower Con East, which is the 4th of July weekend in the United States. And I have no inside knowledge. Tom and I haven't talked about it. I haven't talked to Sharon, who runs it, also a good friend of mine, Sharon Madden. No knowledge. I'm going to say they might do it. But if that doesn't, Gen Con is not going to run, I don't think. I don't think they don't want the liability of running, so to speak, right? And then it goes to Essen, and therefore, yes, I would then say Essen would be the first of all of those.
And the thing that we can discuss probably in January for our prediction episode, because it's very interesting for me, and I guess for everybody who is running business these days. How many years we will need to recover for the fans to come to conventions in
the
these
same
masses
numbers.
Because I think there will be so many people who will be afraid. Like, I know that Gen Con is happening, but I'm not going there. I'm still afraid. So how many years we need to get used to this COVID thing, but we have a cure now, so we don't need to be scared. How many years it take to get to these numbers as they were in 2018?
That's a great question. When will Gen Con's numbers be the same again? When will Essen Spiel's numbers be the same again? I mean, that's definitely not going to be in 2021.
Absolutely.
It might not be 22. It might not be 23. That's going to be a great kind of question.
I guess
I'm writing that down right now for my predictions episode.
We will have a long trauma, like the whole nations. Everybody's afraid.
It's a long, dark time, but keep positive, guys. We will get through this together. All right. So we're asking you this question now. What do you believe the first major board game convention event will be held during COVID times? Ignacy is going to copy that entire thing I wrote there, if you don't mind, Ignacy. So
that reminds me that we didn't cover the most epic news of the week. But we will do it next week.
What was that?
New layout of the Board Game Geek page. They finally did it after 20 years.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a huge. It finally doesn't look like from 90s.
You know, it's funny. I haven't even seen it. Like I did hear that they were about to put it out, and
they did it this Monday, and now I don't know how to find our guild. Oh yeah, I have it.
I'm clicking and it's so slow. Oh, there it goes. Wow, it's not from the 1990s anymore. Look at that. We'll cover it next week. Board Game Geeks.
Absolutely.
Overhaul. Maybe that'll be our question next week. Do we ask everybody, do you like it? Do you hate it? That kind of thing. But anyway, in the meantime, because Ignacy, he's got to do this. He's going to copy this entire thing. Ignacy, copy that entire thing I wrote there and make a question in our Board Game Geek Guild under playtesting, episode 170. We're asking you, what's the first major board gaming convention or event that will be held, during the COVID times, and we have the things that to do. Ignacy's going to put it there right now. Please answer that and interact with us a little bit more. And right now, we should go to the final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from our playtesting segment, which you just heard, also go to our guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so like us on Facebook. Also on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Stephen's page, which is /Portal Publishing and /Podfather Gaming. The websites are portalgames.pl, portalgamesus.com, and podfathergaming.com. Go over there, sign up for the newsletters, and find out up-to-the-minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, you can speak directly to Ignacy and Stephen on Twitter @PortalGamesUS and @PodfatherGaming. On Instagram, same ones. And on YouTube, the channel names are Portal Games Movies and the Podfather of Gaming. We hope to see you next year at that convention that you're going to predict will be the first major one to open up. And please note that Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast, a great podcast, by the way. And also, if you want him to edit your podcast, contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Ignacy, any closing words, any words of wisdom, anything you want to report to our listeners who are so wonderful to us?
No.
Gotta save something for here, man.
It was Ignacy celebrating the success. Like, okay.
That's right. All right, everybody. Great talking to you again. We'll see you in a week.
Thank you.
Bye.